Thanks everybody for here. We do have a quorum. We are missing Kevin, Sandy, Chantel, and Dana tonight, but we do have a quorum, so we'll go ahead and get started. So if we could we go ahead and do a pledge to the flag, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. All right, they sent us the minutes of the meeting. I can't remember what's the last meeting we had. March 10th. Does anybody have any questions about that set of minutes?
I wasn't there, so.
It was 19 pages worth.
Do we have any questions about it?
No.
Can I get an approval?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And I don't believe we have any old business or new business. This is going to be kind of a catch-up for the last 90 days or so to kind of find out where we are, what we've been doing. I know the rec department has been working nonstop during this whole thing. So if we don't mind, we'll just go ahead and get started with that. And can we get Amanda to come up first? Thank you.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. So I will run through our update on our events and marketing. So as you guys know, our events are canceled. Our large city events are canceled through the end of July. But we are accepting applications for outside events and taking people through that application process to permit what we call outside events, provided that they have a plan for COVID. We did recently approve, and the Alpharetta High School drive-in graduation took place. It was very successful. That was the weekend of May 24th. Farmers Market started about 3 weekends ago, and that's been going really great. And
Can I just, is that
Yes.
is that the one that's at the Urban Hardware, or is
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Okay.
yes,
So the one here is, the one right here is not?
Correct.
It's down at Urban Hardware, okay.
it's
fair
moved over to Urban Hardware.
enough. Okay, fair enough.
Yes,
Okay.
for now. And we're still discussing the events for the fall, so we still have discussions, yes.
On the farmers market, I know the vendors are practicing social distancing. What's the policy for the attendees currently?
So they have a line from the table where the vendors are selling. They have a line 6 feet back from there, and the people are required to stand at that line. And then the items are put on the table, and then the people can step forward as the vendors step back. All the vendors wear masks. The attendees are asked to wear masks. They have hand sanitizers throughout the footprint of the event. So they've done a really thorough job, a really great job of preparing the event for these times.
Thanks.
So did we already own the fireworks? Can we just shoot them off without having, without telling anybody? Just say, go outside, look up, and then we can just have fireworks for 4th of July?
I'm going to let you ask Christine about that one, because actually Recreation handles the fireworks event.
Right, wouldn't that be
But
cool?
Great question. And on the farmers market too, they have one-way traffic, like one-way foot traffic, just like kind of how we have here tonight.
When I was there this past Saturday, I didn't feel like it was as good as it sounds here. I feel like it was a very happy place to be, but I didn't feel like it was enough social distancing. And there was one cop that was there, but it was a great event regardless. I just felt like that concept of separating different families wasn't as closely, but just an opinion.
Okay, that's good to know. That's great feedback. So I can talk with the ABA about that. Thank you. On the marketing side of things, we are doing our best to communicate as things reopen, parks and facilities and programming. It's a lot of communication coming out through our social channels. We're also going to be buying some ads to communicate some things moving forward, just to get the word out as best we can. We have the yard signs, which you've seen around, to get the message out that things are open, but we still are asking people to take precautions. And we will have our first draft of the school year activity guide on Monday. So things are still moving forward, like Morgan said. And then on our community agriculture side, things didn't stop there. Everything kept growing, and our community garden remained open for all of our community garden members this entire time. So as we're getting into mid-June, we're approaching peak season. We are now able to have family and individual volunteers come back. So we've had a lot of requests for people who want to get their kids out and do some community service, and now we're able to do that, which is really great. And it's helpful to us too, because now we need the help. Ever since school closed, we've been harvesting every Friday and taking all the food to NFCC. And the amount of that food continues to rise each week as we get into peak season. Our irrigation, which we've been talking about for 6 months, we are now really, really feeling the benefit of having that. It's wonderful. It's
That
just,
drip system that they installed with the tanks and everything?
we have the well, so we're now connected to the well, and it's on a timer, and it all drips perfectly. So knock on wood, we're very, very happy.
That's great.
Very happy. Here you can see pictures of some of the donations. That's my daughter holding carrots and beets and other stuff. A potato from one of our garden members, some turnips. And then, surprisingly, we had some mysterious visitors. Yes, so I furiously called Matt and Eric and Kurt and said, I need your help. I felt trapped inside the fence with a deer. So this little deer was in the fence a couple of weeks ago. I think she was probably as confused as I was as to how she got in there. But with their help, we got her out and haven't seen any evidence of them returning. So hopefully that was the one and only
So
time.
what is this little thing down at the bottom?
That insect?
Yes.
It's not little. It's like, it was about this big. And I had a visitor at the farm who was consulting us on our greenhouse. And he was from Colorado, which, as he told me, they don't have bugs because they don't have humidity. And it landed on his head.
Welcome to Georgia.
That's what I said. I was like, this is Georgia, so welcome. Yeah. I'd never seen anything like it. So that's all I
So
have.
you really don't know what it is?
It's some kind of beetle.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's funny.
I don't know. It was
Have a
beautiful.
horn? I've seen rhinoceros beetles around here before.
It didn't
Like-
have the
And they were
horn.
like half the size of your hand.
Yeah, no, it was not that, but the fake eyes on the, I don't even know what part of that is. But it was like this big. So. Any questions for me?
How'd the deer get out?
The deer got out, it jumped back over the fence.
So the fence isn't tall enough.
Well, there's the wire, so we have the 8-foot fence, and then we have another 4 feet of wire every 12 inches, and it shimmied right between the wire.
Ooh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it left a little chunk of hair, so we've put up some ties to, because where they go in is where, or where they've come in is where they'll go out. So we haven't seen them back again. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome, thank you.
Good God. All right, Matt.
Good evening.
How are you?
Great. How's everyone? Let's see here. Guess I hit the wrong one, of course. There we go. All right. Well, we have a few new additions to Wills Park. We have a new grand pavilion, which has been installed behind the community center on the event lawn. This was actually located at the old Whole Food site off Hembry Road. Our master plan for Wills Park called for us to have a grand pavilion there. And so through working with Morgan and working with the Village Park across the new development across from the Equestrian Center and Reeves Young, since they used our parking as they were developing that site, they moved that pavilion for us at minimal cost. So it really kind of defines that area. It makes it a destination spot. It's really going to kind of utilize an area that was otherwise underutilized. with that, as they were finishing, we met on site, and there was a smaller pavilion that was located behind the community center, which was closest to the building. We looked at that and kind of were seeing maybe that could be relocated somewhere else. So we were getting a price, and I get the phone call back that they could actually move that, but they could do it in the next day. So I was like, okay, great. So we were able to they were able to take that, since they have the machinery on site, take it, pick it up, and we actually have it on the western entrance of the dog park facing, that would be field 6.
Great use.
So what we're going to do, what our thought is that kind of, like you said, makes it a destination. It makes it just feel like you're going to a dog park. So we're kind of going to move forward on the redesign and the renovation of the dog park coming up per the master plan. And that was one section that actually was not going to change. So we just wanted to make sure where we move that, we weren't going to have to move it twice. So those are great additions to that area. Events started back at the Equestrian Center this last weekend. We put out extra hand sanitizing stations. We really upped our frequency on how we're cleaning, very visible throughout the show. We actually have a horse show that will be coming in tomorrow. So they have strict guidelines with masks and how many people they can have at the ring at a set time, how many horses can school in the schooling arena and stuff like that. So
Has this affected the attendance of these shows?
no, the attendance actually for this last weekend show is actually up for that club.
Great.
This weekend, I think we're at 240-ish horses. So we're pretty much at capacity.
Yeah, because we can't hold many, we don't have that many more barns than that, do we?
We've got 300, but remember, we're using a couple of sections of that for our temporary maintenance facility. So that kind of limits what we can have. And which really all the shows that over the last few weekends have been really big. Everybody's just been cooped up and ready to go and show.
Great.
Any more questions? Yes. So as Amanda was saying, with the special events, we require them to submit a COVID plan to us. And that just basically ensures that they're aware, they're taking their precautions, and we're going to hold them to those per our recommendations.
Is there a waiver of any kind that people are signing when they sign up for this thing, that precautions will be taken however?
That is correct.
Okay, they are.
That's done through the contracted event.
Okay.
That's right. And then we've got signage and that we've had throughout the park, and we've really kind of upped our signage throughout the events as well.
Great.
So, cool.
Is that it?
That's it.
Any questions?
No, that's good.
Thank you, man.
Awesome. Thank you all.
Hey, Christine.
Hi,
How are you?
so glad to be back. This is great. Okay, we have a lot going on in Recreation Services. We came back as a staff on May 18th to close buildings, and we opened those buildings on May 25th to the public. And on June 1st, last Monday, we started everything up again. We had camps start. We have 3 camps going. We have Camp Happy Hearts, a new one called MVP Zone Sports Camp, and our traditional Wells Park Day Camp. And they all started on last Monday. Pool wasn't open, so we had some special fun days for them. They had a carnival day at one of the camps, and then they had a water day at the other camp. So it was really great to see the kids out there having fun. Prior to opening all of these things up, we did staff training, to go ahead and make sure that we were following protocols and procedures. Each facility has a facility maintenance plan that we have to follow. And we are following all of the guidelines from the CDC as far as cleaning and distancing, and with the governor's orders as well. We also had our classes and other camps start up on June 1st as well, and the instructors had to submit a COVID plan as to how they were going to be managing their program, and had to be approved, and they also had to sign a waiver. Parents also had to sign a waiver for our camps. So that is in place right now. The parents who had already signed up for camps, we sent that to them and they had to sign it. But anybody that signs up online now, that waiver is there. Just some numbers for you. Camp Happy Hearts last week had 13 kids, and this week we have 18. Wills Park Day Camp last week had 76 kids, and this week we have 77. And MVP Zone had 34 last week and 45 this week. We saw a mixture of people wanting refunds. We saw a mixture of people wanting to cancel maybe the first 2 weeks or the first 4 weeks and then see what it looked like for July and keep those weeks. But we also had a lot of registrations come in. It was very surprising. So our numbers are creeping up. I think week 4 is actually almost full with Wills Park Day Camp. Any questions on camps? Yes.
How are you guys managing kids' social distancing?
That's a good question. We have them in smaller groups, so they're in groups of 20 or less, and they do not mix with any of the other groups in camp. So they stay in their little group, and they go around and do their activities, and they don't cross, they don't mix, and that's how we're keeping them distanced. If they're in the gyms due to inclement weather, they're separated. We have screens that are in the gyms, and that can separate them.
So the 20 kids in one group, they're like a super family for the week?
Yes, they are.
Cool.
Yes. So it's been really great seeing them out there being kids. They were exhausted by the second day. These kids have not been out doing anything, so they were just so tired, but they were having fun. This week, we were able to let them swim, and I'll talk a little bit about the pool here. The pool staff started last Monday for training, and we have about 40 lifeguards. We actually were able to get all the lifeguards we needed. Yeah, very exciting about that, because we weren't sure we were going to have them at one point. And the cashiers are fully staffed as well. And we have just a great group of guards this year. They're just fantastic. So they did training all last week, and then this week it was our soft opening for the pool, in which the campers got to come. And they were thrilled. They were the only ones in the pool, so there was a lot of social distancing going on there. We had planned on opening the pool on Monday, June 15th, and as I have found through this whole situation, I didn't think I could be surprised by anything anymore, because it just is always changing. But I was surprised today when I got a phone call, and we have decided to open up the pool on Saturday. So this Saturday, because they're ready to go. They're ready to go. We were behind by about 3 weeks in training our staff, and so we had to push that out as well as follow the governor's orders. So, but we're good to go, and staff's excited to have people come in. We can have a maximum of 120 people in the pool at any given time right now. And we had hours that were set from 12 to 4, and we've been able to move some programming around. We've extended those hours from Monday through Saturday, 12 to 7, and Sunday, 12 to 4, so we can give the public a little more time to be in there. So, any questions about the pool?
Why can you not start till 12? Is that typical, or is that because of COVID restrictions?
No, it's typical. We have, during the week, we have other things going on. We have
Like swim lessons and
swim
stuff?
lessons, we have water aerobics, we have senior swim, we have lap swim, and we have sharks. We have all of that going on.
They're gonna have sharks?
They are,
Good.
they are, yeah.
They got people to compete against? Yeah.
We do. Well, here's the situation with that. They're not competing against anybody. They're simply swimming as if it's a meet without another team there, and then they're reporting the scores. That's how everybody's doing it this year.
Good.
A little bit different than in the past, but I think they're excited to get out there and start swimming again.
They're gonna run till 4th of July like always, or are they gonna run a little longer?
It's going to be longer. Yeah, they're going to run into July. They're going to have their full swim season. It's just go longer. Any other questions about the pool? Okay. Programming update. Registration numbers, surprisingly, are not. They're down. We knew they would be, and we don't. I'm kind of anticipating July to maybe go up a little bit, because I think people might feel a little more comfortable, but that remains to be seen. We are going to continue to go and plan as we would for school year, and we'll see what happens with that. We'll just adjust as necessary. We've become very good at doing that. One thing I do want to say right now is I do want to give a shout out to my whole team. When this all shut down, I told them to keep planning as if summer was going to happen. And luckily we did that. And we weren't caught unaware. We weren't caught surprised. And when the governor gave those orders, we were ready to go. So I'm really proud of my team for doing that. Special events, we don't really have, obviously 4th of July is canceled. That's under my jurisdiction. Unfortunately, It's too late to have a vendor at this point. We would have booked them months ago, so we aren't going to be having any 4th of July this year. It just sounds so horrible to say, but we aren't. We're sad about that, but it's the right thing to do. It's the safe thing to do. So we don't really have any other special events until Touch a Truck, and even that's a big question right now, because we would have to start booking those things now, and we're not sure what it's going to be like in September. So that one's kind of on the burner. Youth athletic leagues, this was very exciting too. The governor on the 28th he gave the order that amateur and professional sports could go ahead and resume as normal. And so up to that point, they had been allowed to go out and do skills and drills and conditioning out on the field, distancing. Again, each organization had to give me a COVID plan, and they had waivers for their participants, and those had to be approved. And they went out and started doing that, and then on the 28th, we were able to go ahead and say, play ball. So they're able to play games now. And they were very excited about that. Adult Activity Center, we have no opening date for that yet. Sorry, we just don't.
Really? Because it's supposed to be, seniors are supposed to be let out, what, on June 12th or something?
July 12th. It got extended for 30 days. On the 28th, it was extended. We'll see what he says on Thursday. That's his next update. But that one, that's the population that is the biggest concern, and we just want to make sure we're doing it the right way. So I know you're anxious to get back in there.
I'm on an email thread with a bunch of girls, and they were all, because they've called, and the people at the center keep saying it's indefinite. I'm like, well, surely they're going to give a date.
We will at some point. We just don't know when. So we want to get it open again. We want to do it safely. We want to do it in the right time. And the last thing I have is, again, like Amanda said, the guide is going to be coming out. The registration starts the 29th of July, and for residents and for non-residents on August 12th. So we are going to continue as we normally would. So, any questions? Okay.
Questions? Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I had another picture there. Oh, I'm sorry, let me just look at these real quick. These are just some pictures of the kids at camp, and some pictures of the training of the guards at the pool, and the last picture as the kids out practicing for AYBA, and some great hat and ball hook system where they can hang things that they put out there to enhance it. So.
Did AYBA only do travel ball for the summer, or are they going to have some sort of recreation level baseball this summer?
Yes, they have summer registration going right now.
For like a rec level, not just a travel? Because
Yeah.
normally in the summer they just do travel.
No, they're doing rec level as well.
Oh, good.
And we did find out, though, the Braves tournament is not going to be coming to us this year. They've decided not to do that. But we have another organization coming in and taking that spot to do something, of course. So at least we'll have some baseball out there.
Right.
Okay? All right, thank
Thank
you.
you. Eric?
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
Hey.
All right, you said to the right, right? All right. All right, so we got a couple of things going on. Of course, you can see the before picture of the village green that was over the winter, and then the now is the after. Castro put sod down, so you can see it on the left, and you can also see it in the middle. Still needs work, but it's obviously better than the before. The fountain is back up and running out front, as everybody's seen, which makes me feel like the city is back open, but whether it is or it isn't, I don't know, it makes me feel like it is.
I agree.
Watch the kids go through there. It's
Right.
open, so, yeah.
So it's being used, and so is the village green. The next picture is out at Webb Ridge. It's the soccer field. The before picture, you can see where there was a tree, and there was a drainage problem over there. And so what Nate and his crew has done is they enhanced the drainage system. So they dug out the head wall, and they added the riprap in there, and they planted it up. They added sod. So they brought the level of the dirt up, so the water would drain right, and the plants to take care of the erosion. And on the lower left is a project that we had started out at the Alpharetta Elementary School. So the pile of dirt on the left is where they had removed the playground. Of course, the blue in the middle there, that's the support post of the playground. So that's gone. But I don't have a before picture of the grass. So the green that you see there, we started taking over. When did we take over what about 2 months ago? Taking over the grass cutting? Yeah, right. So Triscapes is now taking care of the grass over there. And, you know, when we started, the grass was weeds and thin. And this is just there's no irrigation out there or anything. This is just a general turf care program and cutting it weekly. And it already looks 100 times better.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
And that concludes my report.
Any questions for Eric?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That'll get finished before August? This playground thing will be in before August? Because I think they're opening school. Yeah.
They are opening school.
Yeah, July 15th, I think is.
July 15th,
Hey,
Kim.
how are you?
Good.
Good to see everybody. So, I'll tell you a little bit about cultural services, what's going on in our happenings, and that's basically what we do for our events kind of gathering. We try to really convert a lot of that over.
Take a.
What am I not hitting?
Right
Oh,
here.
I thought, I looked up and I looked
He
down.
turned it off.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was on that. Was it not there? Did I lose on it? Okay.
It was there.
All right, thank you. But the happenings, we've tried to convert a lot of those over to virtual. And so basically what we're doing is, let's see, mobile app tours. I'm going to skip down here. They're hop onto this app as far as our downtown Alpharetta walking tour. I'm sorry, I'm just got all jumbled here. I guess this is face-to-face meeting I haven't had in a while, so. No, I can't talk all of a sudden. I don't know if you know, but we have a mobile app tour that we partner with the ACVB with, and it's for our Alpharetta sculpture tour. And we just finished our new brochure, so hop on there, and it's.
I saw something new as I was driving up Haynes Bridge, right?
Right.
But it seemed like some other things are still here.
We do always keep some elements, and
Okay.
then we always, and they're for sale too. So we have some
Oh.
people that buy them and they'll sponsor sculpture, and then we have that as a part of our permanent collection.
Right. So the man
So-
with the box is permanent, right? But
That's permanent.
But the noise-making thing that's right out here, that's not permanent, is it?
That got extended an extra probably 18 months.
Oh, okay.
So it was just such a perfect spot, and a lot of people were enjoying that, so we extended that for a little extra time. So try to download this app. It's really interesting as far as the options it can walk you through. We have a history walk tour also that you can walk around, find out about the historical markers. And then our Arboretum tours, which is not my area, but I just wanted to let you know that that was an option on here too. So it's got a good collection. Hopping up back to the top here, our Best in Class exhibit, we had just got that exhibit up in the gallery and then we shut down. So we decided to extend it up till the first week in July. And this is our Art Center instructor show. These are instructors, they're students, so please come by and see the show. It's a really good show, and we have, in that gallery space, we're allowing 10 people for social distancing. We monitor it, we have somebody at the front desk, and we keep a close eye on that, and if for some reason people come through, we'll ask them to wait outside on the front veranda. So we've got some distancing things on that. Let's talk about it. We have drawing, art, and community together. So we went around, we thought with all this going on, there's a lot of things going on right now, people want to kind of voice how they feel about things, and it can just be drawing a butterfly to, saying stay united, whatever that might be right now. So we're just giving them an opportunity to do that, and we dropped off signs at 4 different parks, and we're going to have those out through the month of June. And we also, Arts Alpharetta, it will be having they didn't tell me, so I didn't include it on here. I don't know what it's going to be, but we're doing a 3D sculpture downtown. It's right by the green, sort of behind Badawala, right there on that, what would you call that little square back there where the bike rack is? Mm-hmm. It's going to be a 3D art sculpture. And so they're going to have an artist working on that over the next week. So look for that. You can take your picture and stand, so that'll be kind of fun. The takeout art, this Friday, Arts Alpharetta, we placed on the Facebook page
On Friday, it took 3 hours to sell out. It didn't sell out, excuse me, these were free. It took 3 hours to completely give away free takeout art. It's individual bag art, miscellaneous projects that they put together, and they've done the little drive-through system through the Art Center parking lot, so people are driving through on Friday to pick up.
Great idea.
As far as, so any questions on any of them? Okay. Art Center, we have camps and classes are beginning on June 15th. Excuse me, I just put the wrong date on here. We have been open since May 25th, and the gallery is open Monday through Friday right now, and we'll be open on July 11th, starting on Saturday. So the exterior sign, I'm very proud of that. I think it looks great. That happened probably about 2 weeks after we closed for a little bit. The one on the left is daytime, and the one on the right is nighttime. I think it looks
It's really
great.
nice.
I think it turned out really great. Art Studio on the Go-Go, I don't know if you remember, I think I had just reported on that. That was when we actually, the little cart that you saw driving around downtown, the traffic cop, the downtown parking, we actually obtained that for the art division, and we were turning it into our Art Studio on the Go-Go. It's on hold right now. We'll get back to it, but in the meantime, we're going to do just a little mobile cart. So we're going to kind of launch that program. So we're doing anything we can to kind of get art outside of the Art Center, get it virtual or distancing. Our camps, I wanted to go back to that just for a second. We actually have put in a lot of safety measures for an art environment and things like that. We have at each table, we have dots on the ground. They're probably about this wide, and they're colored dots, and that's where a student will sit. They'll come in. We reduce the classes to half size, so you've got 9 kids in a room with 1 instructor. So, and we have, each child will have their own art box with their name on it, and we are wearing masks in the Art Center, just because we're in an indoor environment. So, moving to history, let's see, go down here. Log Cabin. Log Cabin just received its temporary certificate of occupancy, and we had to kind of push that through kind of quick because they might be doing a film permit there. They had an inquiry, and they want to make, the company wants to give a donation, so we'll see if that goes through. But our inspections was great. They gave them the temporary, the Historical Society, so I'll let you know how that goes. The museum is open. We have we've met, all the interactive elements are being regularly cleaned, and we've incorporated that in the cleaning of City Hall. We met with the cleaning company. We are putting docent tours on hold right now. We're not doing those. The museum archives, I just wanted you to know, I don't talk a lot about that, but we have some really neat things going on with that right now. For the museum, years ago, probably about 10 years ago, we had a Past Perfect software that we actually put donations. It's photographs, it's documents. If people want to give us the documents, the Historical Society, they'll put them in the archives and we preserve them. If they want to put them on loan, we do that too, or we just scan them. But we've had some really interesting donations lately, and I just wanted to show you, I don't know if you can kind of see, but this one here up top, this is from 1923, and it shows some of the land lots. It shows a land lot of downtown. Mm-hmm. And so if you ever wanted to kind of dig into this a little bit, if anybody's ever interested in this, it's really pretty neat. We got a big stack of deeds, and it's really interesting. So we do have a partnership, by the way, with the Historical Society. They have a person that does all of this work, and one day I'll bring her in when we have like a really light agenda, and I want you to hear her talk about it. She spends probably about 25 to 30 hours of her time a week in the archives. And she's vital. Her name is Stephanie Anderson, and I just want you to know her name, and she works really hard to preserve and work for the museum. So
may I ask, so how do we, if we have an interest, how do we view the archives, or how do we get kind of a tour of what's there in the archives? How do you access that?
we can, you can come over to the Mansell House, and we have a computer there that you could actually set out. It's a little different right now because of COVID and all that. But we have software that you can go online and make an appointment, and you can just search.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's family histories, photographs.
Yeah.
There's also, if you're not a member, if you want to ask, there's the Alpharetta and Old Milton County Facebook page, And that's a really neat Facebook page. If you're not a member, I would highly recommend going in and requesting that. We had a picture pop up today, and it was the inside of the silos, and they had chickens, eggs, and they were using the inside of the silos for eggs and placing those out. And I thought that was neat, and organizing the eggs. So I didn't know that. Music, in the music area, our Music Match program, we actually received a $12,100 grant from Fulton County for this year, which is great, but now we don't know how to do the music. So we're working on that part right now. We have some plans, like B plans, some C plans, and I'll keep you up to date on how that progresses. The Art Center Black Box, we are actively working on doing a virtual option for that. So when we get that settled over the next, I hope by July, we'll be able to get that going. I'll let you know how that goes. And public art, our Woodbridge Park Gate, we have that completed. It's exciting. I think it looks great. You can see the before and you see the after. So, and I don't know if you remember, this was our Alpharetta High School apprentice group. It was a collaboration with them and with Arts Alpharetta. We had one of our board members that did the mosaic work in the columns. So it was a really neat collaborative project. And I think that's it.
Well, there's something on the bottom there that I don't have any idea. Omnium Gatherum Outdoor.
That's the outdoor sculpture tour.
Oh, okay.
And so that's
Web,
each
what?
year Arts Alpharetta, about every 18 months, they have a new exhibit and they name it something different to denote that it was a new exhibit.
Okay.
So, all right, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kirby.
Oh, look at those friendly faces.
Who are they?
Good evening.
Hi.
Hope you folks are doing okay. Good to see you. Just to give you a kind of an overview of what's going on the project management side. As you're well aware, Windward Community Park is now open. And you can see there's some really cool looking people on the picture to the left. And if you, that's the only picture I put out there. Really, you honestly, if you haven't been out there and you haven't seen it, the pictures don't do it justice. It's a really cool park, and I think the community is really going to embrace it and make it their own. So thank you so much for coming out on the first. I'm sorry?
So if you want to talk about it before and after, that park is beautiful.
Yeah. Well, the during was really, a lot of good pictures during as well. Because
I'm thinking.
it's amazing how much rain we got during that.
I need to think about getting some crosswalk action to get people from the other side of Windward over there if they go out walking, because if you go back to that three-way intersection, that's, I think, is kind of, and to go further north, it's kind of far to the traffic light.
So that's a transportation issue, and we spoke to the transportation.
Did you?
department. So,
Uh-huh.
It's, I guess I should come up.
Sorry, I was just thinking about how people were gonna get there walking.
We certainly agree with you that there needs to be a crosswalk there. There's a couple of issues that, number one, it's a state highway, and that's what they call a mid-block crossing, that it's in the middle of a block, and it's also on a curve and a hill. So you'd have to put in a hawk, like we have downtown, to stop traffic every time somebody hit the button, and that's very expensive on what that would be a 5-lane traffic there. So we've approached them with that, but to be right now, to tell you the truth, I think the cost is going to make that prohibitive until such time as they do something with that road. If they ever come in and repave the road, that would be a good time to think about something like that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, because people walk that way, but they normally stay on one side or the other.
or the other,
just
absolutely,
because it's-
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you, Kurt, sorry.
I want to thank Eric Milley for providing his staff to help out there. Nate Hand was tremendous in helping. He kind of slipped in the role as project manager when I went into general contractor. He saved us a lot of money on the landscaping side and helped us to do a few more things out there, that kind of the wish list stuff. So hats off to Nate and his staff for doing a great job. You see the picture of the kiosk to the right, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. The Wills Park wayfinding, the trail wayfinding plan is complete. The last element was the kiosks that were put in a couple weeks ago. We've been talking about this, kind of showing you how this is going along. So that completes the whole kind of comprehensive trail plan, from signage to directional signage to the overall kiosk that shows you the map. And that's going to be the footprint of our, trying to get our other parks in the same kind of standards theme. I think Webbridge Park will be the next one online as far as doing the wayfinding, as far as that's concerned. So we're excited about getting that program back launched again whenever things kind of get back to normal. So.
May I ask a quick question on the signage? So, and I've not been out there since March, whatever shutdown time was, but with regard to the Greenway, which I know had been open, what is the plan for directional signage on the Greenway? Is there anything with that? And it's been talked about for a long time.
Well, we talked about that, about where we're going to put that in the plan. So we've got capital money to really over the next few years to be in a commitment to complete a wayfinding throughout the park system. The Greenway will probably is going to be the more challenging one. Mm-hmm. We've also are waiting to kind of see how things kind of end up as far as the trail connection to to Forsyth. So that will probably be the last thing we do. And once that's all done, then we can do it all together in one big project instead of kind of splitting that up. So that's the thought process of why the Greenway will probably end up being the last one that we do. We're hoping that, once we got things going along as far as how and kind of work this through the process, we think the next phases as far as wayfinding and also the signage, it will go quicker.
Yeah.
Because we have our own call firm and all we got to do is call them now, get it together, get a price, and then working with Wills Park as far as the trail, same thing. We already have a game plan and it's going to move a lot quicker when we move into doing the park wayfinding and trail systems. So.
Excellent.
Any other questions? Mid-Broadwell Park, we have not forgotten about Mid-Broadwell Park. We are still in the design phase. We slowed it down a little bit. COVID kind of let us catch our breath a little bit. We've also run into some stormwater issues as far as just getting the design right. We're trying to be unique. We're trying not just to put asphalt. And working with stormwater folks and our design firm Pond, they're just kind of coming up with a good practical approach to do that. So we're making sure that part is, the guts are right before we start doing all the cool stuff. So we slowed that down, and we're just going to make sure we got that right. And we want to make sure that, the Mid-Broadwell community gets the same standard park as the Windward community has. So we want to make sure the funding's there and we do the right thing by their community. So we will, we'll be moving along and probably hopefully have a full design, probably midsummer and so forth, as soon as we get those questions answered with stormwater. Alpharetta Elementary Park, Eric mentioned that. There's a lot going on there, grading and landscaping going on, removing old equipment, rebuilding retention walls that need to be replaced, and also we're doing some repair work, repaving the track, installing a new inclusive playground, and then we're going to replace the perimeter fencing. So all that's going to happen in the next 4 weeks. Actually, let's make it 6. So, we're excited about that. That project just kind of came along, and it's just falling into place that we can just get it done. So it's falling into place so good, it scared me. So things have just kind of lined up, and so it's good to have one. It's good to have one. Hopefully it'll stay that way. So I mentioned the wayfinding signage that you see at the bottom is an example of what the playground will look like at Alpharetta Elementary School. It's going to be really cool. Wills Park Grand Pavilion, Matt mentioned that. Just got to work on the stormwater and finishing, and then it is going to really look cool. By the end of the summer, that's going to be a feature that we'll all be proud of. The Greenway, we are going into some stream bank repair and restoration. We got a contract with Pine, City Council approved it. Not Pine, I'm sorry. They actually did the design work. Tri-Skates is going to be doing the work as far as doing some stream bank restoration work. You can see there's some banks eroding underneath the bridges over there. I thought I had a picture in there, and I apologize for not. And then it's exposing the pillars. So we got to come in, we got to restore the bank, using a lot of the gaping wall system like we've used in some of the others. And then hopefully that's going to keep that bridge there for some time to come. So that will probably start happening in August. We'll be planning in that, here in the next few weeks. The other thing, the Greenway extension, as far as going north, I mentioned that, the tunnel, they're tunneling under Windward Parkway now.
Yeah.
That project is moving along. I think the slower traffic started earlier in the spring instead of in the summer, and that project's moving along fairly well. So we're happy about that one. And you can see they've already starting to put some of the park amenities, the benches and trash cans out. So that's going to be an example of what that's going to look like going forward.
How much
yes,
of that will, I'm sorry, how much of that will be boardwalk, and as it heads north, a lot in Forsyth tends to be boardwalk.
We're not going to have any boardwalk.
Good, okay.
That's a bad word.
I agree with you. I don't know.
No, we're kind of following that same theme as what we've done moving on our end.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to avoid boardwalk on the main trail.
Great.
So we are going to have the bridges with the poured, form the cement across the bridges and so forth, and doing that. And I think the upfront cost is going to really pay off in the future. It certainly has so far for us. So, and I see the issues that our friends into the north and the south are dealing with, and I'm so grateful that they're putting the money into it now, so we don't have to put the money into it over and over in the future. So.
Well, there are more accidents too at that boardwalk as it's slick.
Mm-hmm. It's slippery.
For everyone, as it's wet.
Yeah, we have 1,200 linear foot of boardwalk, and it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So we don't want any more.
That's great.
So we're glad that it's going to be cement. Really the other things that are going on, believe it or not, we found out we have a park across the street from Wills Park at Wills Commons subdivision.
Rode by there and I still can't tell where it is.
Who knew? But we were able to help that community out by fixing their sidewalks through their passive green space area that apparently belongs to the city of Alpharetta. But it was good to help that community out. They were very grateful, and I'm glad to help them out. We also are continuing our park initiative as far as park swings, and we installed 3 on the northern district, 2 at North Park, and 1 at Carbon Road Park. So that's continuing on, and we're going to continue to do that. That is successful, and everybody seems to like those. So, we have any questions?
I have a couple of questions. On the park swings, are there going to be coverage? Because I know if they're like Windward Community Park, they're in full sun. Mm-hmm. Is there shade in where these are placed now, the 3 new ones?
These park swings, no, there won't be any covers to them. Now, the plan in some of these areas is full sun, like at Windward Park. There's full sun, but as the trees grow, then there will be shade. There are some that's in the direct sunlight, and for viewing areas like Wills Park, you can see the games and so forth. So a lot of those games are in the morning. So yeah, they're not going to. Some of these swings won't be used in the heat of the day, but they're great amenities. During the morning, watching games and things like that.
In the winter,
Mm-hmm. It's nice.
Not always 105.
And the second question was back to the Alpharetta Elementary Park. I apologize for not remembering this. How is it going to work with school in session and kids in the park versus the community using the same space for the park?
Well, the agreement with Fulton County is that the park will be not open during school hours, and it would only be in operation, and we would only maintain it during off hours on the weekends and things like that. So it will be open during those times. And then if school activities are going on, they take precedence over park hours. So if they have normal school hours and they have an event or something, that that's their property, and they just notify us, and we'll work with them as far as that's concerned.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, on that end, insofar as maintenance of the playground and such, it was probably presented, but what is the agreement with maintenance of the park structure itself and in the daily, requirements?
Playground will be, we will maintain that the playground. We have a high standard to our playgrounds, and we have several certified playground inspectors. You don't need as many as we do, but we do. So we feel like that standard is going to be met at a higher level. We're going to do that. Now, we may work with them in the future about helping out with the cost of mulch or something like that. But for the most part, we will maintain that. We will send staff over during a routine maintenance check to do, check the grounds and trash and things like that.
Great.
And then we'll work with Fulton County as far as any landscaping needs and so forth. But we do have the inside of it, the playground, and also the grass, inside the track. We have taken responsibility of that, and we'll.
That's good.
So if that parking lot kind of becomes ours after school hours, because people can go and park there, then that could be also overflow for the Art Center. I know we were using it. Do we need another hawk sign or something to get people back and forth across that street? And I don't even know if there's sidewalk on the north side of Mayfield.
There is.
Is there on the north side?
I think so, that far down, that close to downtown, I believe.
I know there's sidewalk on the south side. I'm not sure of the north
I
side.
think there's sidewalks on both sides. But anyway, we are going to, at Kim, we've been working with trying to put like an art crosswalk right in front of the school, because we have an agreement with the school, if you use their
Parking.
as well as, the flip side of that is when they have a school event, they can use the Art Center parking. They
Right,
just have to let us know. So it's a reciprocal agreement. But yeah, we've been talking with our transportation department, Kim, and working. We want to put an art crosswalk, not just a striped crosswalk, but some kind of
That's cute.
art crosswalk there. So,
Because people aren't going to walk all the way down to Hopewell.
and that's an easy one because it's a 35-mile-an-hour street. It's level. There's no.
How fast do they go on that street there?
I'm on it every day.
There was one there.
I thought
There's
so.
one there now. It's not a very good one, but.
There's a crosswalk there now?
Yeah.
I thought I remembered it voting.
I remember kids have to
When I used to
cross in the
vote
morning,
there.
walk across the street. and there's a
But
crossing.
is it,
But it's not marked properly.
But it's not marked, there's a crossing guard out there.
It's kind of a harem-scarum kind
Yeah.
of crosswalk.
okay, all right.
The more scare them than anything.
I want to shout out to our Park Services staff who worked through this whole crisis, and very little complaints. Some, I'm sure, but that's normal. But they worked hard. They continued business as usual, and I couldn't be any prouder to be a part of that team. So,
Well, that's noticeable, because things have just run smoothly
Yeah.
through this whole mess.
all right. Well, thank y'all.
So, thank you.
Really nice.
So I don't have any pictures tonight, so I'm just going to kind of bring you up to speed. First, I want to say, as to what Kurt just said, give a shout out to all of our staff, because we have two sides of the house. Everybody knows that. We have the park side of the house, and they have the recreation and cultural side of the house. So when COVID hit, the park side of the house never stopped. They just kept right on going, because our parks were never closed. The trails and the parks were never closed, so they just kept on going. And so, when we started opening things, we were ready to open things. We just had to make sure we had them really nice and clean, and extra cleaning, but we were ready to go. And on the recreation and cultural side of the house, as soon as we kind of shut down, they started planning for the reopening. And so every week, they had a different plan. Well, if this happens, this is what we're going to do. So when it got to the point where we could open, we were ready to go. So my hat's off to both sides of the house, because they did exactly what they were supposed to do under the conditions, and the proof's in the pudding, if you will, that we were able to get things open and keep our parks looking good, and we didn't lose any momentum on some of our projects windward. I don't think there's any other community around or that I've heard that opened a park during the COVID crisis, and we did. So I was pretty proud of that. We did it all within regulations and with the protocols and all like that. So I really appreciate the staff doing that. I'll call a shout out to Valerie. This is her first meeting officially, so, and I'll just
You have
say,
19
Valerie,
pages
the PowerPoint presentation went really good, Valerie, so you did good. So we'll start with the bad news. The bad news is everybody knows that the city gets our money from different sources, sales tax, property tax, hotel, motel tax, all of that comes together, and that's what we spend, and revenues have been down. So budgets are going to have to be reduced. The staff doesn't know this yet, so they're getting ready to hear this figure for the first time, but our budget is going to be reduced by $253,000 next year. Now, that's a $10 million budget that we're losing $253,000 out of. So to be perfectly honest with you, we're going to be able to do that. We're going to have to, you're going to notice the things that we're going to do. We're going to have to cancel things like the scarecrow harvest in the fall. We're just going to take that off the books. We're going to reduce some other things, and at the next meeting, I'll have you a full report as to how we're going to reduce that money. There won't be any traveling this year. Won't be any conference going unless it's a requirement like the playground certification or the lifeguard training. We're not going to get to go to a conference and hear how other people are doing it around the country or around the state this year. So next year is going to be a little bit different, but as we have said collectively before, the last 3 years, we've really been on a good ride. We've gotten the support and we've gotten some dollars that we needed. This year is it's going to be a lean year, and we're going to work as hard, if not harder, during that lean year to make sure that we're continuing to do the things that we're supposed to be doing for the citizens of Alpharetta. So with that out, and I will give you a full report at the next either the workshop or the commission meeting as to what we're going to do that. And of course, the thing about that is some of that is if it's on the recreation side of the house, some of that is kind of fluid anyway because the numbers are based on registrations. So if the programs come back and the numbers get back up, then if we bring in money, we can spend money in some of those areas. So I'll give you that full report. I just got the news actually late on Monday afternoon that's what's going to happen to our department. So a couple of things that were touched on is the Alpharetta Elementary School IGA. That program is going forward. But I just wanted to let you know that now the IGA, the intergovernment agreement that allows us for the next 10 years to treat the front of that school like a park. That's what we're going to do. We're going to treat it like a park. We're going to keep it looking like a park. And if school's not going on, it's going to be a park. So that IGA has now been signed by the Fulton County Board of Education as well as the mayor and the council of Alpharetta, as well as the Innovation Academy at the high school, the old Milton High School, if you will. That one has been signed and is in the books. So we're going to be working on a plan. Our plan is in fall of next year, not this year, but fall of 2021, we're going to hopefully cut the ribbon on the brand new sports arena at the Innovation Academy. So we're excited about that, but right now our focus is between those two, our focus is on the Alpharetta Elementary School because as Cheryl said, we have a very tight window that we have to work. And history tells us that weather is going to factor in the next couple of months. And so we got the weather factored in, we're still going to make that deadline.
But what is the term on the IGA?
Both of them are 10 years.
10
years.
All right. Got it.
Yeah. So those are, to me, you can plan on 10 years.
Yeah.
What we're doing right now, we know for at least 10 years, and I fully expect that, Scott, at the end of that there will just be an extension of that because we're going to make sure that our partner, Fulton County Board of Education, is happy. You're just like we do all of our other partners. We're going to make sure that we keep them happy, and they're going to make sure that they keep us happy because the one good thing right with these IGAs is in dealing with the people at the administrative office in Fulton County Board of Education. They understand what we're doing for them, improving their facilities and improving the looks of their facilities and giving their students better facilities, as well as we're giving it to our citizens. So it's a very good partnership.
Yeah, and I think that this is a much longer agreement than in the past.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, usually they're on 5-year term,
Well, these-
3 to 5.
These were 2, weren't
Yeah,
they?
they were 2 years at the high school. That was 2 years, and it's hard to commit funds for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the auditorium, which of course there's not a drama curriculum at the Innovation Academy.
Right.
And of course, speaking with Tim Duncan, that will be available to the community. Is there an IGA that you
We are working,
anticipate?
that's my next big project.
Okay.
In fact, I actually have a meeting Friday morning with Tim Duncan and the leadership of the Fulton County Board of Education to talk about that very thing.
Great.
So,
Excellent. It's
this is
beautiful.
a little bit different, because it's an inside facility but what we're going to try to impress upon them is that we know what we're doing when it comes to managing things, and we'll be glad to help them manage that if we're given the opportunity to enhance our dramatic programs. So I think we're certainly keeping our fingers crossed, because we would love nothing more than to have access to a theater in downtown Alpharetta.
Well, it's beautiful too.
It really would be.
Yeah.
So those two are in the books. Another agreement we have signed now is with the Equestrian Center Foundation. We now have a memorandum of understanding of how they have raised $250,000. We have $250,000, and that memorandum of understanding says how we're going to spend it. So immediately upon getting that agreement signed, the next thing on the agenda was the approval of the contract for Pond to do the construction drawings and permitting for phase 1 of the Equestrian Center, which is basically a new ring where the maintenance shop was, and doing all of the drainage, the arena, and the parking up on the hill. So we're moving forward with that, and we're really excited about that. We've got the money in the bank on those, and I've been told by numerous sources that money is safe and that will be used for the intended purposes. So we're excited. Any questions about the Equestrian Center?
Where'd they come up with the money?
They're horse people.
Did they?
They had a fundraising campaign, and I think they, from what I understand, this is not, I can't say it for 100%, but I think they targeted a couple of wealthy friends, and were able to raise that money. Because that was the caveat. They had to have the money in the bank before we would sign the MOU with them to move forward. They couldn't promise they were going to raise it. They had to raise it.
Talked about it for a couple of years.
Yes.
And they still never had the money. It was
Well,
okay.
so that it was I really think it was dominoes, and we couldn't figure out how to get that first domino push. And so we were at a meeting, me and Dennis and Jason, Matt, somebody from Pond, and a couple of folks from the Equestrian Center Foundation. And Matt had the great idea, because we kept saying, well, we're going to do it. And the foundation said, well, prove. Y'all been saying that for years. We can't raise money based on promises. So Matt came up with the idea of moving the maintenance shop into the back of the barns and tearing the maintenance shop down. And when we did that, the dominoes started falling, because then they knew we were committed. We basically showed them that we were committed. So it's funny how that one little domino really has just excited everybody. So Matt, was that this year or last year you had that one good idea? Do you remember? Wow.
Take it this year. Then you're done.
Good job, Matt. In case you haven't heard, Zaxters, which is our bike share program, has decided they're getting out of the greater Atlanta area, and they're pulling up all their bikes and all of their stations. So, we've been giving that service, to our citizens, and so we've got to replace it. So a friend of mine gave me the great idea, this is Valerie, by the way, that gave me the great idea of, she said, I saw in the paper where Forsyth County had just signed an agreement with a local company out of Forsyth to provide bikes on their greenway. And so they have 2 stations, and it's called Go Bikes. It's GOEAX, because she's from New Orleans, so it's Go Bikes. And her and her husband have put together a bike rental company, and they're renting bikes for Forsyth. And so me and Kurt went and met with them last week. They're just an absolutely lovely couple, have a good business mind, and they're putting together a proposal for us, because it would make great sense for us to talk with the company that's already renting on a greenway that we're going to be connected to. And Roswell has basically given us, they had 1 station there, and they've given us their proxy vote to kind of negotiate that contract with them. So we feel like it's a really good plan. It might even, we're hoping that even it's going to save us money, because we were paying Zaxter a good amount of money for those bikes. And their model is a little different. Their model is they're going to make a little bit more money off the bike. So we'll bring that proposal again to the commission when we have something. We just met with them last week, and I expect to have something in our hands into this week or the first of next week. So it might be a good workshop item for us to bring forward. Okay? The YMCA is moving forward. You know, our Preston Ridge Community Center is moving forward. The good news on that budget is that there was, they left the money in there for us to begin operating the Preston Ridge Community Center in the fall. So right now, I don't know, it might be more, to be honest with you, because of everything that's happening and we haven't had a chance to plan it. We're really probably going to try to push that maybe to January to kick off the community center over there, simply because staff is just not, Christina and her staff have done a wonderful job getting ready for the summer, but we just haven't had a chance to think about that. So we'll keep you posted on that, but the construction is nearing completion out there, and we're really excited about it.
Morgan?
Yep.
So if someone wanted to rent that facility, when could they start renting it for an event?
What do you want?
Well, what would you guess?
I can't answer that right now,
Yeah.
quite honestly. We need to get through the next couple of weeks before I get my head around the timing on that facility. Hopefully it won't be January. I would like to see it a little bit earlier than that, maybe in the fall.
For the holidays?
We just don't, you know, since we kind of shut down, we haven't, to be honest with you, we've put that on hold, and we got to get it ramped back up. Now, the construction hasn't stopped. The YMCA has continued their construction, so we'll get you an answer to that. We just don't know right now.
When's your event that you're thinking of?
Well, the reason I'm asking is because as scouting goes, we're all concerned. We don't know if schools are in session, and if schools are in session, if the schools will allow scouts to host meetings in the cafeteria as in the past. We don't know, so we thought that what are the other community options outside of outdoor space? And I thought that this would be an option for folks. There's no date or anything, it was just simply a concept availability for meeting space.
And that might be something that we can do some soft openings, you know, just because we say, well, we're not going to be ready to do programs until January doesn't mean that we can't start renting it before that. So we'll just have to take a look at it and see what we can come up with.
Thank you.
Okay. So if y'all have been following, I know you haven't been coming to the council meetings. You might be following them on Zoom online. But one of the big issues right now in downtown Alpharetta is skateboards. You know, it's become an issue with some of the residents downtown. The noise, the safety issue. So you know, the parking garages and all the curbs and the stairs and all this and the other. So the council is moving forward with an ordinance to, for all practical purposes, ban skateboarding in downtown Alpharetta. There is a few exceptions to that, but for the most part, that's what they're going to do. So the last council meeting where they had the first reading of the ordinance, 3 young Alpharetta residents stood up, two guys and a girl, and very eloquently and very thoughtfully talked about how much they enjoyed skating and skateboarding, and particularly in downtown because it has some neat places to do, and that so after that, I realized that as a city we didn't have anywhere for them to go. You know, if you remember, the rules that we looked at were banning skateboards in the park. That was actually brought up because the council hasn't looked at that, because if you remember, park rules was on the agenda for the council meetings workshop, the first counciled meeting for the COVID. So we still got to talk to the park rules, but the park rules said we weren't going to allow skateboarding in the parks unless it was in a designated area. So what I am proposing is that we take temporary, call it a pop-up skate park. You know how we had a pop-up park at Mid-Broadwell? Is that we go out to Union Hill, take the uncovered arena that's right there, and put a pop-up skate park out there. Some rails, some curbs, you know, we can make some curbs out there and do a pop-up skate park. So what I did was I reached out after that meeting to the 3 kids, and I explained to them when I met with them that when I use the word kids, I don't want anybody to take offense to that. My 32-year-old son with my first granddaughter is still a kid. So when I said, I invited these kids to sit down, and me and Kurt and Mr. Merkel met with these kids out at Union Hill, and we talked about that. So we told these kids, give us what your ideas are. If you have this, and you wanted to turn it into a street skate park, what would it look like? So I'm waiting on to hear back from that. So it's just an idea that we're talking about as a pop-up skate park, so we'd have a place for kids to go skate. So we can tell them, you can't skate here, but you can skate at Union Hill. Because that's a much better statement than you can't skate here. Yeah. So I don't know if y'all have any comments or concerns about that. We're just taking some unused space because nobody is using that outdoor space, the outdoor ring. There's nobody using that space.
So years ago, when you weren't, well, probably 15, were you on it then, Dennis, when that happened? People came, they wanted to convert where the community garden is into a skate park.
Mm-hmm.
And the parents came in and their kids came in and there was a long description about how that space would be a perfect space for skate park. And the council at that time was a older group and they weren't interested in a skate park at all. But in any case, they were offered Union Hill. And this was 15 years ago, and they were offered Union Hill. And these people, the parents and the skaters all said no, because it's not central. Mm-hmm. We don't want to be going to the edges of Alpharetta. We like it here at Wills Park, in the middle of this town. And I wonder if that's the same with the downtown. They like it here, downtown. And perhaps they will go to, and it can't hurt if it's not a terribly expensive thing, because at that time they were talking about building them a full-on, bowly thing with all the other business that they have. And but the families that came and the skaters that came said no to Union Hill. They just said no. So
I think this is a new generation, because in their presentations they actually mentioned Union Hill.
Perfect.
So, we're just, and that was one of the things that I was explaining to them when I was meeting with them is that, Union Hill is where it is. But, if you live on the east side of town and you want to play baseball, you got to drive over there. We don't put baseball parks everywhere. We put them where we have them, and that's the way we're going to do Union Hill. And they said, oh, no, we very much appreciate just the opportunity because we just want to skate. We really don't care where it is. That's what they said. That's what they told us.
Right, so, fair enough.
We'll see, and that's as when me and Kurt were talking today, we're telling them there's two things that will kill this project. One is nobody shows up. We build a little skate park and nobody uses it. That tells us that nobody's going to use it. The other is if a couple of folks that are not representative of the skate community come out and do bad things, then that's going to happen. You're going to have to do some policing yourself. And all three of us said we understand that. So we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. But it's just a pop up. If it doesn't work, we just take the stuff out and we're right back where we started. Because you can create the streetscape. You got those curb stops, that you use in parking lots. Those are curbs. So you put a row out there. There's a curb for them to grind. We got when we've taken down some old stairs, we have actually rails that we can anchor into the concrete so that they can grind on those. So we'll
impressed.
Okay.
I'm impressed with the word grind. I'm impressed with
that. Oh yeah. Well, see, what you don't know, in another life, I built a skate park. I built a skate park in another life. So I've been in the middle of skating for quite a while. True story. Michael McPherson, when he was like 14 years old, went to a city council meeting in the other city, and he made a nice plea for a skate park. And so I was in the audience, and so the mayor said, "Why don't you talk to Mr. Rogers, and we'll see what will happen." So me and a little kid named Michael McPherson put a plan together. Long story short, after about 2 years, we built a skate park down there. Michael McPherson now works for the Georgia Municipal Association in Community Relations, and I'll get choked up at a meeting in Roswell where all the mayors were meeting. I didn't know Michael was going to be at that meeting, and he stood up and basically said that his experience with Roswell and the skate park made him realize that you can get things done in the community if you do them in the right way. So I've got the lingo down. So I've never skated in my life.
You know it.
You know, I was on a pogo stick when I was 12, and I slipped and cracked my elbow, and that's as close as I ever got to a skateboard. So we're going to try it and give it a shot and see what happens. We'll keep you posted. The one thing I wanted to mention was we wanted to thank the commission for the idea of having a Zoom meeting with the parents. Remember if the last Zoom meeting, those of you who were there, I think it was Jit that suggested that we do a Zoom meeting with the parents of the kids. And we did, and it turned out to be one of the better things we've done because the parents got to ask questions about what the camp was going to be like. How are we going to protect their children? How are we going to keep them safe? And so when Monday rolled around, we had answered most of the parents' questions, so they just dropped off the kids and sped out the parking lot.
Burning rubber.
So that was thank you for the suggestion, and thank Christine and her staff for putting it together. And I'll tell you, I sat on that Zoom meeting, but I didn't unmute myself the whole time. But it was interesting because when the parents would ask questions, Christine, Jeannie, and Kristen all wanted to answer the question. They all wanted to answer the question, which was really a good thing when you think about it. Here you had 3 staff members that not only knew the answer, but were willing to answer the question. So it went out, and I think it went a long way to calm the parents down that we knew what we were doing and we really care and want to protect their children. So thank you. And the last thing I want to mention is that I sent you an email today, I think it was today, about some of the events that are going to happen this week. And just in case you wanted to know why we were involved in that, is that those events, any kind of events like that, have to run through our special events team. The special events team takes applications, and then we have a committee made up of our department, public safety, public works, and the administrative group, and they look at those applications to make sure that that things are what they are. So you notice on those that I sent to you, one of those did not need 2 of them did not need a permit because you don't need a permit just to gather. But the organizers of that were kind enough to give us the information and share with us what was happening. The other is a march from St. James to downtown, and they're using the same template that the Martin Luther King parade does on that day. So all 3 of those events are being organized by local high school kids, and we're confident that they're going to be peaceful and they're going to be good events. So just want to give you, that's why, if you was wondering why I was sending that to y'all, it comes through our department for that to happen. Just as it's no different than if somebody was doing an art show or a road race. It's the same thing. We just make sure that, first and foremost, that our citizens are, that the people involved are safe, as well as our citizens are safe, and traffic's not impaired, and those kind of things. So, and that gets me to the bottom of my list, sir, so I'll be glad to answer any questions anybody may have.
Any questions? No.
I have one question, and I apologize, I should have asked this to Kim during her time. Was there an update to the special needs, the program where we gave money for, because some of those activities are into summer programs, and we had some given them money for a program. They didn't, obviously, probably didn't host that program. What happens with how that special needs grant stuff goes?
So I'll take this one if that's all right with Chris. Actually, that would be a Christine question.
Oh, sorry.
Special needs. And so we had 2. We had 2 program grants. We had the special needs as well as the community art grants.
Okay.
And in both of those instances, what we have told those groups is that since COVID shut down most of them, we gave them two opportunities. One is to basically hit pause button when they get out. If they want to continue the program, let us know that. Or because of the conditions, if you needed that money to get you through in operating, just send us that verification that it will get you through the operating. So we have heard from all of those one way or the other, and we can give you a full report on that. So we basically just gave them the opportunity to do that. So that we, again, in these times, operating just to operate might be a deliverable that can keep some of those 501(c)(3)s going. So we can let you know what each of those said and the reports. But we are talking with each of those groups on a regular basis and keeping that updated.
Our hope was that once we seeded it last year, there'd be more funding for more of these efforts in the
Right.
next year. I'm assuming with the budget cuts, that's not something.
No, those two programs are still intact at the same level that they were last year.
Okay.
Because those are, and those are one of those things where it becomes it just becomes an operating decision as whether or not we want to cut that or cut scarecrow harvest. And so in my mind, those are extensions of out that are reaching a lot of people. So we've left those intact, if you will. The decision was made to leave those intact.
Thank you.
For now.
Everything's for now.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
All right.
Thank you, Morgan.
All right. Thank you.
Citizens' comments? Nothing there? Okay. Well, again, it's been said before, but thanks again for what you guys have done, all of you. I mean, we noticed that the Parks and Rec, the programs are in place again, the parks never looked better, and so thanks again for working through this pandemic that we're going through. So just wanted to say it out loud one more time. With that, do we have any other questions or comments?
Move to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.